Hey everybody, I'm MysteriousJG and welcome back to Let's Play Mass Effect Andromeda, JG Reads the Codex Edition. My laptop's fine. Yeah, my boot drive on this thing is, I have a solid state drive that's my boot drive, and it also has a traditional spinny drive. And the whole point of the solid state drive is how stable they are, so I was kind of taken aback when I got error messages relating to it, and thinking like, well, maybe I just need to take it and I'll reconnect the thing, or like it got unseated because I was moving the laptop around in my backpack and on this trip and blah blah blah. But everything seems to be working fine. It just needed to be powered down, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and powered back up. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to roll with it. Hope everything stays good. Let's get back to reading about the Kett, our little marshmallow head friends. And here's another big problem with this game. The Kett are really boring. As we found out a little bit about them as the stories progressed, and maybe some of this is on me. I'm not playing the main story missions. I'm ignoring them and doing the side missions, and the side missions don't want to give too much away about the mysteries of Helios. So they're all wrapped up in the species we already know about, and we're not getting new and interesting things to learn about the Kett. But the Kett just seem dull. They turn other species into Kett. They're kind of like biological. They're kind of ripping off the Borg from Star Trek, I guess. But I don't know that the Borg. If I knew more about like sci-fi literature, I would probably be able to spot where the Borg had been stealing from. I mean, there are people who've made the case that the Borg are a rip off of the Cybermen anyway. And Cybermen go back to the '60s, but they're probably anyway. What I'm getting at is that the Borg. Okay, so the Kett rather they turn people into Kett. This whole thing with like it having religious overtones is potentially interesting. This whole thing with their leader being revered as a god and not necessarily being on. There's this sense that maybe their leader, the Archon, has gone rogue and is not following directives of the main Kett forces from wherever the Kett come from. Like the Kett could be interesting, but we don't know that much about them. And right now they're just another group of humanoids who fight from cover with guns. It's not new. It's like the disappointment when the Reaper forces turned out to be, the Reapers convert people, so you fight guys who charge at you who are humans, and then you fight guys who duck behind cover and shoot at you who are Turians. And occasionally they throw in some other interesting stuff. The Kett, maybe as we get farther we'll unlock stuff, but the Kett don't even have as much enemy variety as we were getting at Mass Effect 3. But let's try to find out more about it. Oh, and also just, we've had almost no dialogue with them. As I say that, though, is that really it? I mean, the whole Mass Effect Andromeda world just seems boring. But I want to say, it's because the Kett aren't very interesting villains. But have the villains ever been that compelling? The idea of the Reapers was kind of scary and, like, interesting. But it's not like we have a lot of great dialogues with Reapers. Saren was a pretty generic, I want to destroy the world villain until you knew what was going on with him. And he had to carry a lot of the, like, there is tension, it is important that we succeed in our mission in the first Mass Effect game. So it's like he was relatively well executed, but fairly generic villain until we learn what's really going on. But the Kett, like, the Archon has barely talked. Anyway, there he is. Look at him there with his little ring head. Kett, led by the Archon, the Kett are a powerful and technologically advanced species whose home space lies beyond the Helios cluster. The Kett encountered here an expeditionary force seeking life forms for exaltation, as well as secrets of the remnant technology left behind in Helios. Evidence suggests they arrived in Helios roughly 7 centuries ago. As we have learned, Kett multiply and replenish their armies via exaltation, where the Kett take desirable genetic traits from other life forms and incorporate them into the Kett genome. The donor life form, in return, is mutated with Kett DNA. Kett view this exchange as an almost sacred process of self-development, though our scientists disagree. The Kett themselves remain enigmatic. We know they value genetic and physical superiority, that they willingly enslave other species, and that they have positions throughout the Helios cluster. Unfortunately, sustained dialogue or diplomatic overtures seem impossible, as the Kett ruthlessly exploit any attempt at peaceful communication. Kett technology. It's very goofy looking. Study of Kett technology reveals an interesting dichotomy. While their faster than light drives and equipment show less sophistication than systems Alliance technology than system science technology back in the Milky Way, the Kett are vastly superior when it comes to genetic manipulation and biological analysis. Their weaponry eschews VI support in favor of targeting neurological systems or internal organs with unusual precision, and salvaged Kett gear shows that even their battlefield medicine is exceptional compared to the Initiative's. Nexus scientists believe this underlies the Kett's interest in biological excellence. The technology appears to serve as a subordinate role to studying and improving of one's own genetic superiority. Oh, they're Nazis. My analysis of the Kett technology from your scans suggests, because remember, this is Sam, suggests it is highly mimetic. It follows the Kett pattern of behavior. Rather than conducting research and development, the Kett engineers incorporate features from other species and improve their designs incrementally. So why do they look so stupid? Remnant may... that would really upset Achilles if he was still here. Remnant and even Initiative-inspired changes are already beginning to appear. Kett, the Destined. Destined are described in intercepted communications as ancestral Kett, who act as battlefield commanders. They rally infantry into tightly cohesive units, providing shield support and directing operations from the center. The most interesting characteristic of the Destined is their ability to produce an obscuring smoke cloud without mechanical assistance. Preliminary studies suggest Destined have internal sacs that excrete carbonite-rich compounds, which include a melanin-like pigment. How come they can do it so many times without getting exhausted? When expelled into the air at will, internal acids trigger a gas evolution reaction, and the pigment expands to cover the battlefield, cloaking other Kett allies. While studies suggest it is not harmful, breathing the cloud for extendable periods is not recommended. So they're farting. They're farting. Kett Anointed. The Kett soldiers known as Anointed appear to be of similar caste to the Chosen, infantry equipped with light armor. Anointed, however, wield heavy plasma cannons, making them a rallying point for other Kett forces, and shield themselves with kinetic barriers against splashback. A barrage from an anointed plasma cannon can shred through enemy barriers and severely damage ground vehicles. Communications intercepts suggest the Anointed assist in coordinating Chosen squads and act in an NCO role. It's unclear if the term Anointed refers to a senior rank amongst the Chosen or if Anointed are part of a separate division within the Kett infantry. While with a new understanding of Kett exaltation, it is now apparent that Anointed are exalted Angara, transformed into soldiers of the Kett cause. Their title may refer to foot soldiers who have been entrusted with a more crucial battlefield role by their superiors. So what does that make the maybe we'll find out more about them in a minute. But the generic dudes, who are they supposed to be? What is their turf? Yeah, the Chosen. Chosen are frontline soldiers, blah, 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 blah. The name Chosen was intercepted. Okay, I'm skipping past what I'm pretty sure we have not, what we've already read. The name Chosen was intercepted and tentatively translated from Kett communicators of accurate and significance is unclear, since these are clearly the Kett's baseline infantry. With the new understanding of the Kett auscultation, it is now apparent the Chosen are exalted Angara, transformed into soldiers of the Kett cause. This may explain their title. Their devotion to senior Kett can now be understood as a hardwired hormonal response that induces unshakable loyalty. So the Anointed and the Angara are... The Anointed and the Chosen are both Angara. Alright. The Wraith. With a new understanding of Kett exaltation, this similarity can now be explained. It appears that Wraiths are the result of exalting those feral creatures into faithful war beasts. Oh. Wraiths present an interesting study to exile scientists, initially believed to originate from the same homeworld as the Kett, since they have similar physical characteristics. Wraiths show more clear genetic similarity with other feral creatures. Well, they have like a generic class of quadrupeds that attack you, and they're not even naming one here because it's lame. They have like palette swaps and Final Fantasy I styles. Kett biology is a driving force in their expansion. The Kett are capable of transferring beneficial genetic traits from other species during exaltation, modifying their genome and expressing new traits almost immediately. Study of Kett DNA shows evidence of horizontal gene transfer and the incorporation of genes from dozens of unknown species. Their cells have transfective properties normally only seen in specially engineered laboratory animals, meaning the Kett are able to custom mutate their genome. All Kett and their exalted have a distinctive white exoskeleton. Dissection reveals these growths contain fluid-like sacs that capture dissolved gases from the circulatory system, slowly releasing them if the Kett is oxygen deprived. The fluid pressure of these sacs also stabilizes the body if environmental pressure is reduced. This helps the Kett survive hazardous planets or even in the vacuum of space without suits, while providing additional protection against gunshot injuries. And exaltation. Facility on Vorld has revealed a key element of Kett strategy and biology. The Kett do not recruit soldiers, they take prisoners and submit them to exaltation. This process transfers beneficial genetic traits of the Kett and turns the donor into a fanatically loyal exalted, many of whom serve in the Kett military. Most of the individuals we have fought appear to be exalted Angara. The exaltation process appears to be two-way, transferring carefully selected Kett traits to the donor. The resulting mutations permanently alter the physical appearance and glands of the donor, inducing hormonal changes that cement the individual's loyalty to the Kett. Scientists on the Nexus suggest that exaltation may have originated out of necessity. If long ago the Kett somehow reached a state of genetic stagnation, adopting the genetic traits of others may have been their only means of survival. Today it is a ceremonial, if morally repellent, cornerstone of Kett culture. It's repugnant. Did they say repugnant or repellent? They said repellent. Should have been repugnant. Flora and fauna, outlaws. Agents. Solarians have always operated at the very cutting edge of technology, believing that anything like it. The agents, or outlaws, are a species, by the way. We've seen these in past games. They're just, they like cutting edge technology. The outlaws are no different, preferring to operate on the sidelines. They often employ holographic decoys. Decoy cannot damage enemies, it's kind of here, blah, blah, blah. Have we seen them using decoys? Maybe only at higher difficulty levels. While the decoy cannot damage an enemy, its kinetic barrier generator means that enemy targeting computers will register an impact when it's shot. This forces enemies to divide their attention and allows the Solarian agent to flank or escape. Apex has attempted to research these decoys for larger scale deployment against the Kett, but have been unable to create a convincing thermal signature. Well, wait a second. Why would the Outlaws have, like, super stealth technology the Nexus doesn't have? They're all coming from the Milky Way. Not stealth technology, but you know what I mean. They've got better decoys. Like, why? Meanwhile, it can be expected that these Solarian agents will continue to refine their work. So, like, unless the creme de la creme of the Solarian scientists all went outlaw and have been working on this really hard, it doesn't seem like they should have, hugely better technology. Adhe, this is one of these species that would be turned into the goofy Kett quadrupeds. These adaptations, I'm just reading about the Adhe and why they have a special outlaw Adhe. And they train them and blah, blah, blah. Their jaw strength has been measured in excess of whatever. Show no fear of scout rovers. The Collective. Few verifiable reports of the Collective exist beyond Kadara Port. They claim the Collective is a spy network of the Milky Way outlaws in Angara who use blackmail, espionage, smuggling, and hacking to gain leverage on Kadara. The Collective is said to be led by the Charlatan. No reliable data is available about this individual's identity, except that we know who he is. What the fuck? But the Charlatan has been quietly amassing influence since the Hyperion arrived in Andromeda. Those who cross the Charlatan are dealt with ruthlessly. Intercepted transmissions show that the Outcasts consider the Collective's growing power a threat to their own position. The Outcasts' focus has shifted from carrying Nexus trade convoys to arms deals, putting them at a war footing. The Collective's response has been less public, but many Outcast supporters have lost their fortunes or disappear without a trace. Without Reyes Vidal now revealed as the Charlatan, the Collective is vulnerable to reprisal. Apex reports that Sloan County has already ordered a purge of Collective sympathizers. Berserkers. Centuries ago on the Milky Way, Krogan Berserkers served a key role in the Krogan rebellions, Frontal Force, blah, blah, blah. The battle cry of the famed Rabank Berserker Company was so distinctive and psychologically effective that it was often used in propaganda broadcasts. Today, Krogan have joined the outlaw clans, blah, blah, blah. Wielding powerful flak cannons, bound positions, were provoked to go into a blood rage. These are all things that we kind of know. Saboteur, I don't even think we have new stuff to read here, do we? These are just enemy types. Pariahs. Even without military training, rogue Asari are exceptionally dangerous, as their natural biotic talents mean they are never truly disarmed. These pariahs, now cited in outlaw bands, wield their power armor in pursuit of plunder and glory. Pariahs can attack at short range with shotguns designed for Asari commando forces, wearing down the kinetic barriers in preparation for a biotic-focused attack. For more persistent enemies, many Pariah have mastered a deadly backlash technique, generating a shield with near-negative mass that accelerates incoming projectiles back at their foes. Sloane Kelly, do you want to read about her? I guess we will. She was the head of Nexus Security. She served in the Alliance, was discharged after punching a superior officer for bureaucratic bullshit. In quotes. Some of the initiative's senior leadership concerns about Sloane's temperature, but Director Jeanne Garson admired Sloane's passion and believed her frank attitude and resourcefulness would ultimately keep the Nexus safer than someone who ran things by the book. And then Garson got killed and Sloane Kelly went renegade. Good call. General 10 felt differently. Relations between Sloane and the new initiative director, while never good, quickly deteriorated upon the uprising. Sloane was vehemently against using the Krogan against the mutineers and took it personally when the director went behind her back to make a deal with Clan Neckmore. Upon learning of the director's intervention, Sloane switched sides and joined the rebellion. Although the uprising ultimately failed, Sloane gained legendary status amongst the exiles and amassed a group of followers called the Outcasts. After leaving Nexus, she traveled across Helios and Kadara Port, where she defeated an invading Kett force and set herself in the Outcast office of ruling power. With Reyes Vidal gone, Sloane remains de facto ruler of Kadara Port. However, this seems to have brought little peace of mind to Sloane, who was using all available resources to hunt down Reyes and any other members of the collective. Reyes Vidal Sassoon, a.k.a. Reyes the Warrior. Like many exiles, Reyes Vidal's screening interviews and personal records were corrupted during the mutiny on the Nexus. Internal staffing emails now show he was a pilot assigned to shuttle N503 call sign Anubis, but beyond that, very little is known about Reyes' life before arriving in Andromeda. Since the Nexus uprising, Reyes has made a name for himself as a smuggler working out of Kadara Port. While most exiles in Kadara feel pressure to choose between joining the Outcasts or the Collector to be successful, Reyes proudly claims to be a free agent, and even does jobs for the Angaran Resistance. Despite being known as a reliable smuggler who always gets the job done, Reyes is notoriously bad about paying his bar tabs, with the exception of Tartarus, where it's rumored he has worked out a deal with Cayenne, the owner. After we thwarted the Collective's coup of Kadara Port, Reyes has been on the run from Sloane Kelly. Outlaws, anarchists, quite continually referred to as antichrists. Turians running with the Outlaws have turned their mandatory military training to less noble purposes. Basically, every Milky Way species has a name for you. Find them, they fight all the same way. There's no Turian who tries to use Solarian type tactics. No Solarian uses Turian tactics, etc. I suppose when you find generic guys who are completely covered in armor, you can assume they're not all humans, and some of them might just be really tall Solarians or kind of whatever. They override the safeties on ex-military hardware to handle a higher explosive yield, resulting in deadly inferno grenades that leave thermite deposits on the ground after impact. Thermite can cling to armor and cause massive damage. Apex, largely Turian volunteer forces, take a dim view of these anarchists or antichrists, seeing them as not only a threat, but an affront to the Turian values of honor and service. Those who cannot be forced to surrender are hunted ruthlessly, though this has only driven anarchists to ever greater feats of military engineering. And outcasts. Cast out for criminal behavior or their actions during the uprising, exiles with Nexus are no longer welcome at the station or initiative outposts. Some have found a new home at Kadara Port, choosing to fight under Sloane Kelly's banner and embracing their title as outcasts. The militia's threat assessment lists the outcasts as a significant risk. Their particular animosity for the Nexus, honed by Sloane Kelly's security expertise, makes them a constant concern for the Nexus leadership. The outcasts harass trade convoys, raid ore and ice transports, and pick off scout teams for their weapons and equipment. There is no simple answer to stopping the outcasts. Kadara Port is defended against Apex assaults, and Sloane Kelly has weathered numerous assassination attempts, retaliating against the Nexus each time. Meanwhile, every individual who must be exiled from the station is a potential outcast recruit. Well, let's read about the Remnant in a second, because it just occurred to me that we probably have rewards we're supposed to be grabbing. Well, this whole time that we've been reading the Codex, time has not been passing, so I guess we don't. We could, I mentioned the Apex. That's what made me think, hey, we could be doing Apex strike missions. Did we win in all of our missions? No, we failed on one. We succeeded. We got research data. We succeeded. Huzzah. Our one failure did not involve us learning negative traits, which is fine. Oh, another failure. Alright, well, let's look for all the missions that will give us research, since that's kind of what we care about anymore. 78% chance of success. Okay. 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 Well, I hadn't done a mission in a long time, so a lot of potential missions have popped up. Okay, so now we've got 4 missions that have been undertaken, so I need to just pick 2, probably gold missions that don't have research as a reward. And then we can collect our, let's see, what is our research? We got Remnant, yay! We got Milky Way, boo! For everything else, we'll just claim all rewards. And then we'll go into our inventory. It looks like we have an additional pistol. I've been keeping an N7 Eagle around so we can deconstruct this and get a little EZO out of it. We've got an extra melee, an extra Krogan hammer that we're not using. Deconstruct that just to clean up our inventory. I don't think we get armor from those missions, do we? No. Looks like we got some new mods that are eating up inventory slots, but I'm not going to deal with those right now. So let's go back to Andromeda species. How many more of these categories have we got? Okay, we're getting there. The Remnant interfacing. Remnant data core. The box that PB found and the Vault of Neos appears to be a Remnant data core storage device. PB calls it a data core and has dedicated her time to unlocking its secrets, as she is convinced it may contain more information about the Remnant builders. Close observations revealed that the circuitry found within PB's relic boxes often matches up to circuitry found deep in observers and other Remnant's creations. It is possible that they were used to deliver command routines to Remnant machines. POC. After months of studying and tinkering with the Remnant, PB was able to strip an observer's operating protocols. Using Remnant technology found in the vault on Eos, along with other pieces scrounged from the ruins, she discovered a way to program the observer to obey her commands. This is POC, proof of concept. Oh, I did not know that. That's kind of neat. A Remnant observer that now works for PB. PB and POC has no combat capabilities. It apparently exists for PB's amusement and perhaps companionship. Uh-oh. Well, I mean, she did ask Ryder for a little sexual encounter that didn't happen. But she has repeated her work and created a combat-ready version that can be deployed in the field. For ease of discerning between the two, this combat model is named Zap. POC has been stolen by Kalinda Tareve, apparently for the simple pleasure of annoying PB. PB's successes in merging Remnant Milky Way technology is very promising, and she's begun to apply the principle evolved to other systems, including those on the Tempest. Remnant Destroyer. They're like Delaware destroyers, but different. Destroyers are heavy weapons. Platforms deployed. Against the most determined. Intruders into Remnant territory. I'm not going to continue to do that. Armed with a directed energy cannon and 2 secondary laser turrets that can engage multiple targets simultaneously, a single destroyer can take out an entire combat squad in minutes. When asked why she named it a destroyer, PB folded her arms, rolled her eyes, and answered, "You figure it out." One of the most disconcerting characteristics of the destroyer is its partitioned power system. Destroying one of its turrets means that power is automatically diverted to its locomotive system, allowing it to move much faster. Many individuals mistakenly believe they could pick off a destroyer's turrets from a distance and evade it safely, only have a destroyer close that distance unexpectedly. This often has fatal consequences since at melee range, the destroyer transfers power to an electromagnetic burst that causes severe damage to any individual unlucky enough to be close. Apex has reported variants of the destroyer that have a self-repair network for their turrets. These destroyers can briefly go dormant, transforming full power to fix any damage before reactivating its turns again. Few have been cited, but engagement is not recommended. So that's a potential upcoming boss. Remnant Nullifier. This Remnant model appears to have been designed for excavation. If revoked, it enters a siege mode where it anchors itself to the ground and launches explosive projectiles at its target. In this mode, Remnant constantly runs a self-repair cycle, reducing damage from incoming fire. PB claims this characteristic is what earned it the name Nullifier. Recovery of Nullifier parts has been illuminating. They use both balancing pitons and dense ferrofluid. I knew ferrofluid. I don't know ferrofluid. I know the name ferrofluid without really knowing what ferrofluids are. But pythons. That's new. Reservoirs in their lower extremities to remain stable while firing. Design characteristics that could be useful for initiative mining operations. Their blast shielding is also surprisingly light for its thickness, 72 millimeters, in density. The plates are cushioned by a honeycomb of shock-absorbing polymer to distribute any ballistic force. However, these characteristics are also what allows them to absorb heavy fire and act as formidable opponents. You have been a formidable opponent. And a remnant abyssal. Over several months, the Nexus has received numerous unconfirmed reports of a huge remnant construct in the Aladdin Dunes. It's a That's from Aladdin, right? It is said that patrol a certain area of the desert, diving through the sand seemingly unimpeded and attacking intruders with overwhelming force. As no trace of such a construct has been found, and these witnesses are often found to be suffering from heat stroke, the Nexus is currently dismissing these claims as a white whale myth. However, those who believe the reports refer to these constructs as abyssals. If the reports are in fact accurate, the question arises as to the abyssal's purpose. Such a construct might be used to extract and process valuable resources from the sand, using the kinetic pumping action to power it. Alternatively, that's the word, the abyssal might be used as a defensive measure for sensitive locations. Regardless, the reports all state that the abyssal is impervious to weapons and indifferent to communication, suggesting that if it actually exists, this construct would be best studied at a distance. What do we got left? Plants and technology. Plants and locations technology, ships and vehicles. I think I will let that be its own video, and possibly a short one, or possibly one that can also feature some gameplay, since I'm hoping we only have a few items in each category. Either way, folks, I am just relieved my freaking laptop works. I'm MysteriousJG. I want to thank you guys for listening and watching, if you watched. I'll catch you guys next time as we wrap up. Unless I'm greatly mistaken, we will wrap up the Codex for now. Bye-bye.